you a better idea of who Oscar Wilde really was than An Importance of Being Earnest. This is a play that he wrote during a really turbulent time in his own life and in England. And I'm not going to tell you too much about it, and if you haven't read it, don't, because it's a great play to sort of discover as it sort of washes over you in the theater. But it's about a politician, Robert Chiltern, played by Michael Butler, who is known as being a very moral, upright politician and an ideal husband. And as the play progresses, we find out that he did a no-no early on in his career. I'm not going to tell you what that is either. But a little no-no early in his career that comes back to haunt him and threatens to ruin both his marriage and his career. And at the time that Wilde wrote this, there was actually quite a lot of scandals going on in both British high society and politics. There was a lot of reform bills going on to try to get rid of influence peddling in the House of Parliament. There was a lot of upset over the fact that sort of buccaneers were moving into high society and buying their way into Parliament and buying their way into the House of Lords. And there were a lot of reform bills going on about that. There was also a time when Ireland, which is Oscar Wilde's home country, was fighting for home rule and to try to get away from the British. And then, of course, you had the suffragettes. Those crazy women just didn't want to stay in their place anymore. So there were a lot of things that were sort of threatening the traditional, yeah, I hear some laughs, those women, what are you going to do? A lot of things kind of threatening the traditional power bases of society. And of course, Oscar Wilde, that's right up his alley.
This piece has proven to be about 500,000 times more difficult than The Importance of Being Earnest. Absolutely. That was a piece of cake. That was a confection, a delightful dinner, a three-course dinner. There are cocktails, there's dinner, there's after-dinner drinks, there's sexual scandals, there are hangovers, there are Bloody Marys, there's a lot more of stuffed into this play. It's a much more bitter comedy than that one is. And I think it reflects, a lot of the dualities and tensions inside Oscar Wilde in his own life in London society, both as an outsider, as someone with a whole different sexual identity than he was promoting, and a political identity that he tried to get around through his plays. And I think this play just manifests that with a jagged, almost gem-like brilliance and also potential danger in it, which is why I think it's a harder play, which is also what attracts me to it.
You read it and it just glides across the page beautifully and wittily, and you think, oh my God, this will be so much fun to do. And then you actually start engaging with it, and Jonathan's right, I'm finding it incredibly difficult. It's, if Ernest is a dinner, this is dinner you have to go out and hunt and kill before it kills you. That's what it feels like to me. There's something about it's actually, it is all this beautiful language, very gorgeously crafted sentences and ideas presented with perfection. But it's very ferocious what's actually being meant.
Yeah, and it's unlike Shaw, it's not tangential, so you don't have sort of moments to digress. Everything is sort of very much in the moment, about the moment. And in particular with the character I play, that I have the luxury of playing, the privilege of playing, I think sort of patterned after Oscar Wilde himself, although quite different. But a lot of his philosophies are sort of, imparted through Goring's advice. And I have the task of sort of throwing off all of his esprit, these witticisms, all of these epigrams, and making them come from a really sourced place of truth is the challenge, because it can be, if it's not filled, it can be empty.
We have to find a way in the open air, in a theatre that doesn't have a ceiling or wings or flying equipment, a way of building a place on stage that looks very wealthy and changes to different locations.
It's four elegant interiors
4 elegant interiors.
in an outdoor theater.
We basically took some beautiful 18th century paintings by Boucher, the kind of thing that you would find on the walls of Versailles, and those create the wall of our house. That way we avoid trying to build, lots of architectural stuff. And we're saying, these are people of refinement, these are people of taste, these are also people of romance, they're very romantic pictures. So that's how we start the piece. But one of the things that Jonathan and I really got interested in was the fact that there's so much masking goes on in the play. People hiding little things from other people. So we were interested in the performers themselves somehow being a little masked, being a little hidden. And so we used scrims, which are these cloths that you can use, you can see through when you like them one way, but you can't see through when you like them another. We've used those in every one of the acts in a different way.
This is a play that I think is deeply relevant pretty much any year that it will be done. I think it has turned out to be even more so given the kind of campaign that we see being run in the presidential arena. Unlike anything I've ever experienced even through my childhood until now, I've never seen anything quite like this. Anything quite this spotlighted. Every single move, everything said, every single word said by any particular candidate is torn apart. Unbelievable. No one can get away with anything now. You can't be flawed in any way to run for president in this country. And that may have a lot to do with a current flawed administration, or it could just be with the proliferation of the media and internet, and that every time you get on CNN.com, there's a new news story. Every 5 minutes, they come to drum up news. And this play basically reveals how fragile humanity is in a political spotlight. And we kind of just see it as a reflection of this kind of people on a mountain. And in fact, these are human beings with families and lives and internal relationships with their families and their husbands and their wives. That this play kind of sees it from the outside, and then it turns around and sees it from inside, and sees how a man who could easily have done what he did and is still a great politician, and how much he feels the pressure of becoming the kind of person that he can't live up to being. And how this play kind of cracks the character, the villainous of the piece. Her name is Laura Cheveley. She just pulls out like in a Jenga, and she pulls it out and everything starts to crumble, and you realize that the fragility of that marriage, based on an idealism that both she, the wife, Gertrude, and the husband share in his own iconography as at home and at work, how that just crumbles, and how we see how that has to kind of resolve itself. And I love when the epic political meets the personal. It's like the essence of Greek tragedy. It's the essence of a lot of Shakespearean drama, and it's the essence of, I think, Oscar Wilde himself.